What's up, guys? We're here on another episode of the Hopecast, where we spread hope to the hopeless. And today's going to be a very special episode. I'm actually going to get interviewed by someone really special to me. This person has played such a huge factor for the past 4 years of my life that has taught me so much about life, recovery, and spirituality, and how to just be a good human being. And that's why I picked this person specifically, because for one, this person knows me probably the best, and two, I respect this person, and it's an honor to spend time with this person. And so I want to introduce our special interviewer today, the Chief Phil Aguilar.
Yay for me. Woo, I'm excited. This is an honor.
Yeah, it's an honor too. Like you have impacted my life so much.
Well, it's a mind blower because like it says, ever since you were a year old, in your recovery, these last 4 years, I've got a chance to be with you pretty often, if not daily, some way in thought, shape, or form, every single month for these last 4 years. Boy, it's exciting. I'm excited to talk about it today and ask you some good questions.
Yeah, I always remember too, a funny thing, I think I've told you before, when I first met you about a year into it, we're going to soul study, right? Every Wednesday, and at work I see you, we go play volleyball. And I remember for like a year, I was like, are these guys going to kidnap me? Like, why are they so nice to me? And I started watching movies, right? Like all these like movies of like people being nice and then they grab you in. And for a whole year, I was like, there's no way people are this nice. Maybe every time they bought me something to eat or took me somewhere, there's a catch.
There was a reason behind it. Well, no, you've drank the Kool-Aid now, and you're a good part of our family. You go around as my adopted son, so it's a pleasure.
Yeah, it really is. And just thank you again for doing this episode with me.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we're celebrating 5 years of recovery, 5 years of being off the dope and having hope, 5 years of being on fire, being animated, crazy. People know you as one of the top jump ropers of the world. They know you as the hope dealer, speaker that motivates crowds, and you just don't stop. I mean, you got it all going on here, but please take me back. That first year, I didn't get to know you, but take me back to the beginning, because I know in recovery, it all starts with admitting we got a problem and that we're a little insane in the membrane. Tell me about what your insanity looked like, what it was that got you to the place where you got so desperate. You know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, I think for me, like the insanity, as I look back at life, towards the end of my addiction in 2017, I mean, I was literally like mixing every single drug you could think about in NyQuil. NyQuil was my liquid, right? People inject with water, sewer water. I was using NyQuil. And so putting stuff in NyQuil, breaking up, uppers and downers. And I would be injecting it, through my rectum. Wasn't even drinking it, wasn't sniffing.
Wait a second, through the rectum. Is that because that's a sensitive area, geographically speaking?
Yeah, because I was afraid of needles, right? And I had syringes because I used to take steroids. And I remember I would sit there, but I was so afraid to miss. And so I went online on my phone, and I'm like, what's the next best way to get high? And it's like through the rectum. It's the same amount that will hit you, right? It's like 90% you get the high.
Oh, man, they're not kidding when they said we'll regain our sanity because we lose our minds, don't we? And so how was that affecting your life back then? What were you doing?
I mean, by doing that, I wasn't showing up to work. I lived in my shower for a month. There was a month I lived in my shower because I was so paranoid to leave, and I would stay in there just getting high, hitting up my dealer. Hey, can you drop it off here? I'd come out really quick, go back in, and just seeing like me getting fired from jobs, right? My relationships are falling apart. My mom's cancer, like I'm ignoring it.
You had your own pandemic going on before the pandemic.
Yeah, the shower-demic.
Yeah, the shower-demic was going on, and Uber Eats was dropping off a little bit of food to keep you going.
That's right. And my mom going through chemotherapy too, and me not showing up to any of her appointments, right? Just sitting in my disease, ignoring everybody. I just started to see like, holy shit, like I can't stop. Like literally, and I'm having 3 to 5 seizures a day. Epileptic grand mal seizures, which are the worst. And it's like, it's not stopping me. And it was seeing my life get that bad that I was like, dude, I need help. Cause like, I'm like dying every day, nothing's stopping me. And that's what, brought me to my knees to just, for whatever reason, cause I tried committing suicide at this point, right? I've tried hanging myself. I tried taking a bunch of pills. All the trauma from being sexually abused, molested, neglected, abandoned, heartbroken, like everything was just, coming to the surface because I'm not talking about this.
Boy, you're a perfect example when people, especially like Christian people, people I roll with, who think they got an answer. But, your whole mindset with, the abuse, the things that happen in your life, a lot of times people want to just give us a Bible verse and it'll all go away. Right. But it's more than that. It's a complicated web of troubles, of hurt and pain. And so here you are, you're experiencing it, trying to cover it up, trying to kill the pain, trying to numb yourself. What did you finally do? How did you cry out for help, and how did you get help?
Yeah, I honestly think once I saw myself trying to commit suicide is when I knew like I need help, because I understood why people killed themselves. That was my thought process. I'm like, wow, this is why people kill themselves. I almost had compassion for these people because I was in that mindset and I was trying it. And when I would wake up, I just felt like I need to reach out for help. And I knew one person that was Christian that, came from not a drug background, but a crime background. And, he's like, has a girlfriend now, going to get married, total opposite of what he was. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, dude, I'm going through something. I need help. And so he picked me up, took me to his house, read some scripture to me. And the scripture that I got from it was that God gives his strongest battles to his strongest warriors. Okay. And so that scripture made me feel as though life was happening to me, but for me, because God says you're strong enough to go through these things to help other people grow through these things. So that perception change, I felt relief for the first time in 25 years from all my pain and agony. And so it was that experience that I just said, I don't know what this is, but I want this feeling. And so the next day I went to AA for the first time, had no idea what it was, just saw it in a TV show. And I stood up at the podium in front of the meeting, because it was a podium meeting, and I shared everything for the first time that I've been through.
Wow, you spoke up about we're only as sick as our secrets. And I was having a thought today about how us addicts, like you were saying, we can take it as a negative. But when people come to me, moms and dads come to me with their kids, and they go, could you pray for my son, Jimmy? He's going to court today. I go, well, how much time would you like me to pray Jimmy gets in jail? And they go, what do you mean? I go, jail isn't a bad place. Prison isn't a bad place, because if it'll turn your life around, that's what happened to you. Coming to the end of yourself, all these things, terrible things that have happened to you, you can now, the same energy, that was for negative, you can turn it around and do something positive. So you started going to this meeting, you spoke up, you started off strong, boy, and then what did you do?
Well, as soon as I shared that, someone said, me too. And that was the second powerful part, right? Because I thought I'm the only one in this world going through this stuff because I'm not talking about it, and my perspective of life, because I don't talk about it, I don't think anyone goes through this. So me too, when someone said that, I literally knew this is where I need to be. I have a family for the first time. And so that just that started the mindset of, I'm almost like, I'm going to be like a superhero. I'm going to share my pain and my story to the world to let people know that they're not alone, so they can say, me too, and feel the sense of freedom that I felt. And so that was the driving force to do my step work with a sponsor, get a job in treatment, help people out, go to church, and do all these helpful things.
So you did like the good book says, we're all addicts, but you became addicted to the ministry. You became addicted to serving. You became addicted to, you don't have to go to meetings. You needed to go. You wanted to go. You got there. You're learning. You took a sponsor. You did everything that you were instructed. You're playing follow the leader and letting somebody else lead you, because you know where your own leading had got you. Yeah. And so now here you are following, boom, and then you got to work in treatment too. Why did you do that?
So it's crazy. So I was bartending when I got sober, which I don't recommend. But the only reason why I was bartending and serving is because I worked at Lucky Strike, Rem's Bar, and House of Blues. And I let them know, because they were going to fire me, I let them know, like, I'm a drug addict, this, and that. And they gave me another chance. So they made me sign a waiver. Like, hey, if you drink and use, you're fired. And they let all the employees know, if he drinks and uses because of you, you're fired, right? They're able to do that and stuff like that. So everyone was aware. So 9 months into working in the bar scene, I started to get depressed, irritable, and discontent, because now I started to feel triggered. Now I was like looking at all my friends coming to the bar and families in town. Fausto, it's good to see you. You want a drink? And no.
Yeah, they can do it, but here you are,
So it was about 9 months of sobriety, And I was writing in my journal, like, God, I want to like help out people and addicts, but I don't know what that looks like. To me, I think you need to go to get like an RN or LVN. You go to school. And so at 9 months sobriety, Shay walks into the bar. He's a regular.
Right.
And Shay asked me like, hey, you still sober? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, do you want a job in treatment?
Oh, beautiful. The opportunity arose right out of the place that was a bad place for you and stuff like that. There was a miracle in the house. Beautiful.
So that's what got me into working into treatment, was that moment. And once I got into it, I remember, I was just so fascinated by all you guys, because I met you and your kids and everyone, the volleyball, the laughing, hanging out, going places. And I was like, dude, this is so amazing. This is fun. I'm like, this is rehab? Like I can work in this? Like, yeah, you just need a rad tee and do this and that. And so, yeah, that's how I got started into working into treatment.
Yeah, so here we are. I remember when you started working there and you had a natural gift. I believe the good book tells us, like it says, our gift will make room for us, and so we do what we're good at. And everybody loved Fausto coming in. And before we started calling you our hope dealer, others were seeing you were full of hope, and encouraging people and building people up. And like I says, you're an addict, so you just got used to doing it daily, every single day. But you were an example, because the Bible says we're letters read of all men, so people could see, man, hey, if Fausto could do it. And then you kept sharing your story. And when you share your story, you're absolutely right. There's people going, me too, me too, me too. And a lot of times people don't want to share. They want to share some glamorous drug story. There's nothing glamorous. Us dope fiends end up in a pit. We end up messed up. We end up hurting everybody we say that we love. So here you are. You got to be an example in treatment, going to work every day, showing people, hey, you can have a good time. Hey, you can have a great life, And so while you were working in treatment and doing all this stuff, what kind of aspirations did that give you for the future?
It was all the outside validation of that. You're really good at this, right? Like you said, man, you're so positive. You're so hopeful. Man, I want to be like you. Your groups are amazing. You know what I mean? You're so wise. People would say, you act like you have years of sobriety, right? And I got hired when I had 10 months of sobriety.
Right.
So it's all this affirmation from people was making me realize, like, oh my gosh, like this is my calling. I would have never thought I would work in this industry back then, right? My whole life was I'm gonna be a bartender, skateboarder, bodybuilder. Like those are all my ideas back then, or videographer. And so it's all those affirmations on top of hanging out with your family, you and your family, and just hearing all the positive things, whether it was Chill saying, yeah, you're my dad's new favorite, just simple things like that. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like seeing that and speaking, you're like, hey, come speak at this. Or you had a Magic House event, hey, come speak at this. Because it was all part of the treatment life that we had right there, right? The family.
Yeah, you've developed to be a community figure. And then you brought in, like I says, you play music, you DJ, and you jump rope. Give me just a minute about your jump roping.
Yeah, I mean, when I got sober, I had a jump rope in my bag. And I remember that when I saw the rope, I was just like, again, my head, right? Maybe I'm going to be a really good jump roper. That's why my jump rope's in here. Because I like to jump rope, but I never really took it serious. And so I would jump rope every single day and started making videos on Instagram. And then I started figuring out there's a whole community of jump ropers on social media. And so that I just started making videos, meeting people. They started doing stories on me. And then my mentor today, who I looked up to from afar on YouTube, the best jump roper in the world, Buddy Lee, I was like, I'm going to meet him and say his jump rope saved my life. That was my motivation. And a year later, I meet him. I get to shake his hand and say, your jump rope saved my life, And so the jump rope was a way for me to cope, because it made me feel connected with myself. It made me feel hopeful in life. And it's just something that I did and I tended to get really good at.
And you got good at it, and everywhere when you pulled it. That's why I say you have so many tricks in your bag. To me, like it says, I watch America's Got Talent, and I watch these people that throw knives, they drink fire, they can leap tall buildings at a single bound, all that stuff. And I'm going, man, God has given you all these different gifts that you have in there. But as you're working with all these people, I never hear you say no. I see you going here, going there, and I go, man, this guy's going. How about people pleasing? Is that part of your character at all, people pleasing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my whole life I've been a people pleaser now that I look back, right? Before I didn't think that. I'm a kind person. But I learned that kindness can be a form of manipulation. It just looks different. And so when I got sober, I'm aware I'm a people pleaser now because I looked at my defects, but everything I'm doing is the complete opposite of my character, right? Ministry, helping people, life coaching, going to college to be a counselor, speaking at meetings, speaking at churches, throwing events at your house, mentoring people, helping people. I'm always like, I do this for free. I do this for free. This is my thing. Free, free, free. And I'm doing a lot. Nonprofit work, different states, countries. But in the season of my life now, I've noticed a lack of motivation to do those things. And at first I didn't know what it was. I just thought, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. What's going on, God? But after, asking questions for a couple weeks, talking to certain people, I'm realizing that I have all my success, for the most part, my success in these 4.5 years of sobriety has been driven by an insecurity of people pleasing.
You think you've been chasing success?
Yes, for sure. Chasing validation, chasing the good job, boy, chasing the affirmation because I needed that to maintain my sanity without me knowing that. That's why I can't slow down. That's why I can't take a break. But I would justify it no, I'm good. I'm good. This is my calling. This is what I'm going to do. But the reality is I couldn't slow down because when I slow down, I don't get the affirmations that I need.
That's like the likes, in our videos or anything, comments all that time. And I used to say this to people many, many moons ago. 99 people can tell you what a great guy you are, and that 100th person says you suck. And who do we pay attention to?
The guy says you suck.
Man, so here you go, and you're rolling now. It's year after year after year, and especially like I says in your 4th year that you're just finishing up, getting ready to celebrate number 5. How has burnout affected you? Has burnout come into your life more than once?
Yeah, I would say every year there was probably a form of burnout. The first year I wasn't aware of it because I was on fire, right? I didn't really have too many responsibilities, so I was able to do everything. Second year, I didn't know I was burnt out. I thought I was having a mental breakdown because I got mental health problems of anxiety or I'm broken. And then I realized going into in this year, I noticed burnout because I burnt out when I was working too much. I started my own business and I was making a lot of money, and all of a sudden I started to feel physically sick, and I would sleep for 8 hours, wake up physically sick, go to a meeting, feel physically sick. Okay, read my Bible, feel physically sick, eat healthy, eat physically sick. And I was like, what is this? And I talked to a couple people. This is my day to day or my week to week, what it looks like. And they're like, you're crazy. And what do you mean? That's not realistic. I'm burning out. Okay. So I sucked it up, cut off contracts, gave up money. But then I started burning out again when it came to ministry work. 4 events a month, nonprofit, church, this and that, Hope dealer, everything. And then again, now I'm feeling that same feeling. So I had to, again, be aware of it. But it took me basically almost dying because I had the grand mal seizure in July.
Now you're looking for a balance,
So after the grand mal seizure, when I lost my memory and I couldn't talk, walk really, or I couldn't read, I just couldn't function for 14 days. I was scared. I was like, is this how I'm going to be for the rest of my life?
Ooh, yeah, it is scary. It's humbling.
Yeah, very humbling. And so now I understand that I can't keep going the way I used to. I have to slow down or I'm going to die physically.
Well, you know what? I've heard so many people speak that lately and how important that is. Easy goes, take it slowly, baby, smell the flowers, all that stuff like that. Now, how has forgiveness played a role in your sobriety, your recovery, and your attitude? I mean, like forgiveness. Has there been people, situations that you've had to forgive, and maybe even some recently?
I was not a forgiving person. I was a forgiving person when it came to certain aspects of my life because I wanted people to like me. But when it came to the traumas that I've been through, like being abused, my dad abandoning, it was hard to forgive those things because I knew or forgiving the people who broke my heart, stuff like that, right? Friends, relationships. It was hard to forgive those things because it was always why me? Why did this happen to me? I didn't do anything wrong. And it wasn't until I figured out that I realized that I had a part in a lot of these situations, not all of them, but I had a part. So seeing that I had a part in it made me be like, oh my gosh, well, I want to be forgiven. So I learned that, if you want to be forgiven, forgive others. So I built compassion to forgive people. And then when I would forgive certain people, I saw the benefits of my life changing. I had more peace of mind. I treated people better. That reminded me maybe of similar situations. When it came to my dad, that was a hard one because I have daddy issues, you know?
Yeah.
And it hurts because even though I'm sober, he's still not coming in my life like I wanted him to. So, but I learned that when I didn't forgive my dad, I would treat every relationship I was in my sobriety like they're my dad, which is me being reactive, right? Raising my voice, cutting them off, belittling them, having no patience, getting irritable and frustrated, right? And when you're feeling like that, you may say something you regret. And so I started to realize, like, unless I forgive my dad, I'm going to keep on treating people like this.
Right.
I didn't want to do that because to me, that's me traumatizing people in a way, right? People are sensitive. They can take that and carry that with them for the rest of their life. So once I forgave my dad, because it was going to change the way I treated people, and I saw that it worked, I was like, this is amazing. Forgiving my abusers, which is a hard one, right? Because I had no part. I was a kid. But I had to get to a place of forgiving in order for me to live what happened to me. Because when I wanted to hurt the person, well, guess what happens? I noticed myself angry at people. Same thing, right? I'm angry at people. I'm irritable with people. I'm pissed off at people. I'm judging people. I also felt unsafe around people. Once I realized that, you know, forgiveness is for you, not for them, I was like, okay. So I tried it to forgive, right, by myself. And then I noticed myself crying and I felt a weight lifted off my shoulder. I was like, oh my gosh, that pain that I've been feeling, it took forgiveness to get rid of it. Wow. I thought it was CBT, DBT. I thought it was going to be meditation, working out, you know, AA, praying more. No, it was forgiving. And so for me, forgiveness is so important because I think if whatever you can't forgive, you become. Maybe not the same action, but you become the pain. You take it out on people. And I don't want to do that to anybody. And so in my day-to-day life, it's really easy to forgive people now because I've forgiven the past, which means I can forgive the present. And so it's very simple to be like, hey, I get it. Like, I knew you didn't mean to do that. I would have done the same thing probably because I could be honest with myself. So I could let it go. You know, I forgive people easily now, and it's better that way. I don't want to have to look over my back, and I don't want to have to carry all this anger and resentment and take it out on people.
Wow, that's beautiful. You know, I was thinking as you were talking there's different people in our lives that come into our lives, and there's just something about each person, if we pay attention, you know, because the Bible says out of the mouth of babes, you know, we can learn. And in our circles, you know, we're all equal, and it's non-judgmental. But can you name a handful of people and the different things that they inspire you in, that have pushed you and motivated you for over this last 5 years?
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, I was thinking different people come to mind, yeah.
I would say, so obviously the person that I told you, my buddy that picks me up and read me scripture the first time, that's the first person, right? Because it was the perception of life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me because I'm strong enough. I carry that mindset till this day. You know what I mean? Like, that's huge because I can look at everything in my life that way now, right? If I go through a heartbreak, it's happening for a reason. You know what I mean? There's purpose to this.
Wow, and that's wonderful because we get hit with stuff every day, all kinds of stuff, and it's what we do with it.
Yeah. My mom got cancer in my sobriety. That helped me with that. I lost jobs. Helped me with that. I've lost my home. Helped me with that. You know what I mean? I almost died. It helped me with that. So that's the first huge person that had impact.
Beautiful.
Second one would be Buddy Lee.
Buddy Lee, yeah.
Because it showed me that, for one, it just showed me like, wow, anything is possible. Like, I literally met this guy because I thought about it, I believed it, and it happened. And just to be able to talk with someone that I respect so highly, I feel honored. And, you know, he teaches me things, right? Just letting me know like about life, right? You know, he's a man of God, and he just kind of teaches me how to, you know, what life looks like on the other side that I want, right? You know how it is behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah,
he teaches me, this is what it looks like. This is what to expect. This is what matters. Like, I'm sure you know, right? You can tell me now, look, this is what matters. I learned the hard way. And so he's had a huge impact in teaching me about life. Another person, I mean, for sure you have had the hugest impact, and it's because I'm around you the most. And you just, the things that I really took from you a lot is you showed me what it's like to be like almost like cared about and loved. You show me that. I've never seen you treat me differently no matter what. You've always given me room for growth, and you've given me so many opportunities that I know that I'm grateful for it. You know, you don't have to do those things. You have so many people around you, and you always give me these opportunities, and you never want anything in return. There isn't like, where's the money at? You're gonna pay me or
No, that's why I'm saying a lot of people don't realize the high we get from getting to see people grow in front of our eyes, seeing things happen. And like I said, hearing your philosophy of life means a lot because, I often think about, like I said, I want to write a book with the 12 people that most impacted my life. Right. And so hearing this is exciting too. Who else? Couple more?
Yeah. Just one more thing I'll point for you though too is like loving people where they're at. I got from you, looking at everything with a positive mindset and looking for the good in everything. Mm-hmm. Because I do that and I love it because people are always like, you're lying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They think. Yeah. They think you're crazy and stuff like that. But once you get that, that's part of you. It's like it says. Remember, we're creatures of habit. We're addicts. So I used to wake up every morning needing a fix. Yeah. I still need a fix. It's just I've changed the high I get now. Now it's a GTA. Grateful, thankful for, acceptable. It just we are what we think and all those things like that, and it's being around people like yourself. Go ahead. Who else?
Yeah, I'd say the last two people I could think of. I'm sure there's more, but one of them is Michael Catter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Michael Catter. Shout out, buddy.
I think about him every day because he's taught me so much through his blessings and his failures. Yes.
And he, because it was just like, for one, it was wild the way we met, right? It was through like a YouTube video from, what's his buddy's name? Plays the guitar, Charlie Grooms. Yes. Met through Charlie Grooms. And so like, just like hanging out with him and talking with him, you know what I mean? He just taught me so much about life too, right? Because like you said, you guys have similar backgrounds. He's like, look, this is what it looks like. It's not what you think it is. And just have a person who he just has a way of like having me look at things I'm going through spiritually, because he gets it, right? Yeah. I always call them, we need those wild Christians, right? The ones that are like done a lot, so they have a wild way of looking at things. And he's taught me a lot about how to look at struggles in a way that helped me cope with it.
Beautiful, beautiful, Michael.
Yeah.
Meaningful guy.
And then my fifth one I would say have been overall my sponsors, because I've had three, right? My first one died. The second one moved away. And then the third one, who I have today. But the collective of those three people have, changed my life a lot because they teach me the simple things, right? The simple things, how to be a good partner in a relationship, how to go back to school, how to live life on life's terms, right? The simple things, but they help me because they understand it, right? I can ask a normal person, like, how do I go to a grocery store with my girlfriend? Someone would be like, what do you mean? To them, they get it. They're like, oh, let me guess, you're probably thinking you got to do something, perform, you got to show up, say the right thing. I'm like, yeah, don't I? They're like, no, here's the secret. Push the cart. Yeah, I'm like, that's it? They're like, yeah. I was like, wow, I didn't think about that.
Wow. Here you go. We're getting ready for the big 5-year celebration this week coming up here. And what do you think? I know could be a top 10, but over these 5 years, what are the top 3 things, the things you've been hit with the hardest that, man, for a moment there, it looked like it was over, game over, and I'm going back to Egypt. What 3 things has it been for you?
Like the hardest struggles I've been through in the 5 years?
In the whole last 5 years, the one where you actually, the 3 times where it most seemed like, I'm going back, I'm done, this is it, I can't do it, I'm finished.
Yeah, I would say the first one probably was, there was a moment where when I lost work, I went to another job and it wasn't what I thought. It lasted a month. Went to another place, wasn't what I thought. And that was the first time I started to experience hardship in my sobriety, right? From external things, losing job after job after job. Mm-hmm. And I was just confused. I was like, I feel like everything's falling apart for me. Now I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of high school. I'm like, what am I going to do? And it was a scary place because I started feeling suicidal and depressed. And I was confused. And I would think, maybe I'm not going to make it in sobriety. I know, maybe I thought it was easier than I thought. And I'm going to be another statistic that's going to die. So that was my first strong one, but I got through it because of the people in my life and prayer, and all of a sudden everything got better. Okay,
because for those of you listening and tuning in, like I said, we all go through hardships. There's always opposition to our mission.
Yeah, and it was just the people in my life to talk to about it, praying to God for help like every day, and showing up around places. And before I knew it, job was offered to me, got into college, got a better position than I thought I could, and everything got better. Second one I would say was when in 2020 at the end of COVID, when I went through a breakup and lost my home. That was tough, right? That's when I was living at your church. Yeah. And it was just tough because I never thought I was going to get hurt that way like I used to, right? And so it was a feeling of anger and frustration of like, God, why would you do this to me when you know this is the thing that will make me relapse? Why would you do that to me? I'm not doing anything wrong, God. I'm doing your ministry. I'm helping people. I'm kind to people. I'm honest. So that was really tough because I'm not an angry person, but I was angry and I didn't like it because I don't know what to do with this. And it was surrounding myself with you guys, my people, going to meetings, praying a lot. And before I knew it, because I did those three things, I had an epiphany of, Fausto, you prayed to save more money. Now you don't got rent. Okay, I could laugh. Okay. And then also it showed me more things I missed that I needed to work on to be a better version of myself. So there was no hard feelings, right? Because I stood close and I didn't do any bad things to cope, right? I didn't relapse. Right. I didn't sleep around. I didn't start doing crime or lying. No, I stood honest with myself and did right, Beautiful. Even though it was hard. The third one was probably the recent thing when I almost died, because my cousin died the day before from a seizure. Then I have a seizure. 14 days, I'm like a vegetable. And when I got back into reality, I started to notice I'm different though. But that's what I was telling you. I got scared because I thought this affected me. And I started perceiving all my friends and family like they didn't want me. And then I started to feel a lack of purpose in my life. So it was scary. Like this past couple months has probably been the most I've ever thought about drinking and using. Not craving it, but thinking about it. Because I just feel like I just can't escape this inner turmoil that continues to haunt me. But it was when I realized through talking to people again and praying and going to meetings, someone said, sounds like your head's coming out your ass. Sounds like you're not people pleasing all of a sudden now. So now your whole identity was people pleasing is gone. So now you're like, why don't I want to do these things anymore like I used to? It's because now you don't care about the validation, which brought me peace because I thought it was a midlife crisis when more it was just something got removed, a good thing got removed, like a negative trait. So now I can still love what I do, but finally I don't feel this pull, this need to have to do it.
Yeah, that means so much, and I've learned that over my life years too, that like as when I'm doing things under the Lord, he loves me whether I mess up, don't show up, or anything, While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He loves us through it all, no matter what. But I tell people myself, people that work for me or helping me, I go, I'm not going to be able to pat you on the back enough times. I'm not going to be able to tell you that a boy or that a girl enough times. I'm not going to be able to pat you on the butt enough times, tell you what a great, I'm just a human being. I fall short too. That's why who we're doing it for. If we're trying to people please, we're only as good as our last song, our last $10 we loaned somebody or something like that. Because, people are selfish and greedy and everything like that. So that's a very important thing, like it says. But those of you listening in, I'm telling you, you're hearing somebody, man, finishing strong in these 5 years. And the big things that I see right in there is like every time you've been knocked down, you just keep getting back up. Because you don't want to sit down because you'll end up staying down. And like it says, you're always going to have, thinking about it or maybe craving it, but just not doing it. That's okay. Like I says, all of us have times where we're depressed, discouraged, downtrodden. But like I said, get around some people, community, because the longer we stay in our own head, that's when we end up in our bed half dead, just sick and tired of life, not knowing what to do. But you've made it through all those things. Let's celebrate this last part of the podcast here now, getting ready for 5 years. And you're going to be speaking at the Magic House.
Magic House and the Crossings Church.
The Crossings Church, beautiful, the Lifelines and all that stuff, and probably who knows what other places for your 5 years. This is a State of the Union address as far as I'm concerned, because you're taking that big five. That's very meaningful in the recovery community. That's meaningful to anybody in life. In the world where when a little kid's 5 years old, they're in the middle of their learning and growing and everything like that. So give us your State of the Union address to not just addicts, but to moms, dads, everybody who listens to this podcast, some way, shape, or form. It's going to go worldwide on here. Give us those top ingredients for them to be able to make it through, to stick in the game, and to have a great attitude while they're doing it.
Yeah, I would say the first thing is figure out the concept of what God means to you. I think that's the number one thing you need, because the person that you're with the most is yourself, and yourself is the problem. And so who can be with you 24/7, which is God. Mm-hmm. So the more you seek it, the more you'll understand it, the more you believe it, the more you'll receive things, right? It's like just having confidence in it is key. If you don't believe it, then it's not going to work.
That's exactly right.
Second thing it says, find a community, because we need a community to lift each other up. You know, a lot of the issues that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, my community is the people I call and go to. And it makes life easier when you don't have to do it alone. And then another thing I would say is that try to practice giving your life meaning. Because if you could give everything in your life meaning, you tend to be able to accept it. You tend to be able to forgive it. You tend to be able to be motivated by it. It's really hard to get irritated at life when you look at everything has a meaning. Yes. You know, and that allows me to stay patient and kind and in serenity with peace of mind. And then another thing I would say, something you taught me, you told me your love life will dictate your soul life. Mm-hmm. So I would say when it comes to being in a relationship, like me and my partner I notice that make sure the person you have in your life is bringing value to you, because I notice like in this relationship that I'm in, is like I feel more confidence than I've ever felt. I feel more positive. I feel more motivated, and I feel like life is opening up for me and stuff like that, because the person closest to me is so positive and uplifting and is on my side and empowers me. So that right there is like adds a secret, level of motivation for us to strive for life and our recovery and anything, right? Who has your ear, right? Has your future. And I think the person you're with is the person who has the most influence on you.
Exactly. Oh, you spoke a big truth there, because people don't want to go home to somebody or, a family, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever like that, and be booed. Oh, yeah. Nobody needs that. Like I said, that old saying, your home is your castle and all that stuff, but you feel like shit, when you go there. No, it's important, that thing like that. Let me close you with these again. I like to close. Yeah. Let me close this. What are the 3 books you would recommend if they only could read? They only got 3 books to read. What 3 books would those be?
The Bible.
Definitely the Bible, number 1.
And I say the Bible because I believe every self-help book is written after the Bible. So you get the ultimate self-help book. Second book I would recommend would be Mindset, right? For the scientific way of looking at things. It's very good on growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And then the third book I would recommend would be, I would say, what was a big one? I would say Think Like a Monk. Because in this book, they talk to the people nowadays, right? So it's more, you can understand it, but literally it's all about forgiveness, accepting people for where they're at, self-love, loving people, community, being of service, and how service is everything. And that book would be good. So if you can't understand the Bible too much, read this book. It's the same thing, but it speaks to the people nowadays.
Beautiful. That was beautiful. One more last question. What 3 movies would you recommend?
Oh, man, movies. Oh, my God, it's a good question. Movies. Man, what movies have made me cry and inspired me? I'm trying to think. It's a hard one, Chief. I don't know what movie I'm trying to think of. Like,
I was sharing with somebody the other day that there's one movie, like I said, that I went and saw, and I heard people talk about it before I went to see it, and they said, "You're going to break down. You're going to cry. You're going to." I go. You think so? And I invited about 50 people to go with me to the movies, but I decided to sneak over to see it before they saw it, because I'd heard so much about, when you just hear something, so I went there, and didn't buy no popcorn, no hot dog, no ice cream like I always do. Yeah. And I sat there this movie, and it wasn't even in English, the words. They were those, the little subtitles there. But, the passion. Yeah, movie about Jesus' life was just unreal. And there's some movies, like I said, there's some movies, you've heard me talk about it. I've got beautiful messages out of Toy Story 3, The Lion King. Because as we start thinking, so here you are in your life, getting ready to celebrate your 5th year of sobriety here. You got a beautiful relationship with somebody you love who encourages you. You've been a helper to friends like our friend Alika shares. You introduced him to everybody he knows, and that's what friendship's all about. You understand about community. It isn't about just making the money. It's not all about people pleasing. It's just realizing your gift will make room for you. And so anybody who's on the outside, like last month you shared with me what you're doing, I go, you think you're not doing much? Are you out of your mind? You're going crazy.
You're like, you have 9 out of 10 good things in your life. You feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah. and that's our life, like I says, because we'll never feel like we're good enough or anything like if we do that, but realize God's grace, His mercy, and His peace He gives to us. He loves us more than His own Son who gave His life for us. I mean, we are blessed people. And He says in the book of Acts, He says, but none of these things move me. So us getting that mindset that no matter what comes our way, and as I say that, I'm thinking about things that are coming my way. Right. Says none of these things move us. Neither do I count my life dear to myself. It ain't just about me. I'm living for others. Right. I've got to go all the places I want to go. But I'm going to finish this course. And that's the one thing that you're on, and you know that. This is a course. And it's a long-distance course. We know that. I mean, brother, you can imagine yourself, when you're 75, of the things you're going to learn, you just keep getting up every day, just doing it one day at a time. Any final thoughts, words of wisdom? This is the last time in your State of the Union you're ever going to talk in the world right here. Here you're hearing it first from Fausto, supernaturally speaking to you right now. The final words of wisdom for today.
I got 2 things to say. One, I just want to give a quick shout out to my beautiful girlfriend. Woo! Throwing that out there because a lot of the reason why my people pleasing has stopped has happened because of her too. Yeah. The simple, hey, you're amazing. What? Hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, it doesn't matter what you do. It's who you are. What? Hey, I don't care that you do speaker and that life coach and celebrities. I don't care about that. I care about who you are. Huh?
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, but what about this podcast I did? Who cares? I want to hang out with you. Huh? So I give her a shout out because that's
beautiful.
Crazy ways.
Ash, you're the best, man. That's great.
And a final word for wisdom I would say is the biggest thing I would say is don't chase outside validation. Really figure out how to create it yourself, because for 4.5 years, I'll tell you, it was a mind race that I wish I could take. I don't wish that on anybody, right? Because the peace of mind that I have today by not needing validation outside of me, this is what I want over money. This is what I want over title and status and the blue check mark, right? I just thought the blue check mark and the status and the fame would give me what I feel today. That's why I was chasing it, so.
Well, Fausto, like I said earlier, this is a thrill. It's a pleasure to see you at this place in life, and knowing you're just a strong young man. You got a beautiful lady, beautiful life. You touch so many people's lives. You are the hope dealer, and forever will be. And thank you to all those that are part of your life, and all of you tuning into this. Hey, listen to it more than once. Squeeze all the goodness you can out of it. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, Chief.
Woo!
And we're done.